Hello guys and welcome to a new episode of the Football Show. As today we're going to talk about yesterday's Champions League semi-final between Arsenal and Atletico Madrid, and also we're going to talk about today's Champions League semi-final between Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain. Let's start with yesterday's Champions League semi-final between Arsenal and Atletico Madrid. Arsenal beat Atletico Madrid 1-0. They go through to the first Champions League final since 2006, the second ever Champions League final. Thanks to the winning goal from Bukayo Saka. Congratulations for Arsenal for qualifying for the Champions League final. They deserve it. I mean, when you look at the how well they've evolved as a team in the last couple of years, how Arteta has done a brilliant job to make them very competitive. Because let's not forget, Arteta, before Arteta arrived into Arsenal were a team that was basically a laughingstock. Don't get me wrong, at the beginning of Arteta's reign they were also a bit of a laughingstock where they finished 8th twice, but at the same time it took time. He rebuilt the squad, he got the players that he wanted, he got rid of the players that he wanted, he built a squad, a team, a style that he wanted to build, and obviously they came second a couple of times. However, this season, they haven't won many trophies under Mikel Arteta. It's only 2 Community Shields, if you want to include it, and also 1 FA Cup. However, this season they have a great chance of winning 2 biggest club competitions in world football. Potentially the league title. You can win the league title and the Champions League, the first Premier League title since 2004, and the first ever Champions League. And you look at this Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal. I think they were. Obviously, not much happened in the first half. I don't think there was a lot of big chances from both sides in the first half. However, Arsenal were, I would say they were more in the front foot. They had more possession. They were more in the front foot, whereas Atletico were defensive in the first half. But as soon as Gyökeres made that shot and then Saka scored to make it 1-0, as the ball went to him when the shot of Gyökeres was saved by Oblak. Saka scored, made it 1-0 for Arsenal. Arsenal go 1-0 up, and you think okay, Arsenal they go 1-0 up now. They have a good chance now of going through to the final, because Arsenal usually, when they go 1-0 up, they're usually strong in keeping the lead, and they don't throw you away, as they've shown this season a couple of times in the game management. Whenever they go ahead, they do really well in their game management. And they did quite well in the second half in that regard. They did really well in what they had to do. It was nervy for them because it was obviously 1-0, and they kind of let Atletico have the ball and try to have chances. Whereas I think Arsenal, even though Atletico had the ball and they tried to create chances in the second half, I never felt like Atletico were going to score. Defensively, Arsenal was so strong, so superb. They just, they felt like they didn't need to score another goal to go on and win the game, and they did really well. And they've been good at what they've been doing this season. Getting a goal 1-0 up and then shut up shop, and they do it really well. I mean, you would think like this kind of plan is unsustainable, but they've proved that the season is very sustainable. That they can go 1-0 up and manage the game really well after that. It's not the only game they did that. Also, they did it against Brighton away from home. They did it a lot of games. Fulham away, a lot of games. Newcastle at home, a lot of games. And you have to give credit to Arteta and first place, because sometimes, Arsenal have been criticised in the past for being, let's say, soft and being, when they go 1-0 up, they might be complacent and they might throw it away. But this Arsenal side for sure doesn't include those kind of comments. They're not soft. They're not complacent. They're very, very strong. Very strong and well equipped defensively and mentally as a team as well. And they show that this season. So congratulations for Arsenal. They go through to the final. They're not at their best, I think, but I don't think they had to be really at their best in this game to win against Atletico. And they got the job done, and that's the most important thing. And they are through to the final. For sure, they are not the favourites to win the final against whether that's Paris Saint-Germain or Bayern Munich, but it's a one-off game. Anything can happen. They have a chance, and if there's one team who can shut up shop, if there's one team who can get the goal, get the first goal, the first 10, 15 minutes, and then shut up shop for the rest of the game and pull off a 1-0 defensive masterclass win, it's Arsenal and Mikel Arteta, and they've proved it a lot this season that they can do it. So, and yes, of course, it's going to be difficult because Bayern Munich's attack and PSG's attack is absolutely amazing, but Arsenal this season have been amazing defensively. I mean, they've conceded like 5-6 goals in the league phase in the Champions League. They are unbeaten over 14 games, if I'm not mistaken, in all the games they played in Champions League this season. They've been fantastic in the Champions League this season. They won the league phase very comfortably when they won all of their games. And yes, you could say they had a bit of a lucky run to get to the final because they had to play Bayer Leverkusen, Sporting Lisbon, and Atletico Madrid, who haven't been great this season in La Liga. However, it's still an Atletico Madrid side who are very good players like Julian Alvarez, Griezmann, Lookman, Diego Simeone as the manager, and also the same team that knocked Barcelona out of the Champions League. Even though over 2 games you could say some things went in Atletico's way, where both games Barcelona went down to 10 men. But at the same time, congratulations to Arsenal for going through to the final, and yeah, like they obviously, like I said, they're not the favourites, but it's a one-off game, anything can happen. I felt like Gyökeres had a very good performance in this game. Declan Rice was absolutely superb once again, man of the match once again. I mean, he's been stepping up in big games recently for Arsenal. I mean, stepped up in this game against Arsenal, against Atletico, and in this game he stepped up against Real Madrid twice last season. I think he's been one of Arsenal's best players this season. He's been the most consistent for the whole season. You could say Saka because he stepped up recently for Arsenal, but I think for the whole season, Declan Rice has been the most consistent. You could say he's been Arsenal's best player. And I think if Arsenal win the Premier League and the Champions League, and Declan Rice does really well in the World Cup for England, and England go far, he might have a good chance of winning the Ballon d'Or. As much as people look at me and say, "Oh, what are you talking about? Declan Rice winning the Ballon d'Or? What are you talking about?" Yeah, but he's been absolutely amazing this season. You look at when you judge the Ballon d'Or. I know the Ballon d'Or doesn't usually give the players who deserve it to win, but when someone wins the Ballon d'Or, it's how they perform over a season. It's not how they perform over 5-10 seasons. It's about how they perform over a season. So and Declan Rice has been absolutely fantastic for Arsenal. Gabriel Magalhaes, rock solid for them. William Saliba, rock solid for them. And yeah, like Arsenal, defensively they showed their defensive superiority, and they are right now. They are the kind of this Arsenal side remind me of, let's say, Jose Mourinho's Chelsea or Atletico Madrid's Diego Simeone, where they are they're able to go 1-0 up in the first 50-20 minutes and then shut up shop, but they're strong defensively. They're strong to cope with the difficulties, and they have good players and they have fantastic defenders as well. So like Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes, and they've got Arsenal got players who are up for the fight. Whereas Arsenal in the past, where you could say, yeah, they're soft, they're not up for the fight. But right now, they've got players who are up for the fight. They are a team, like I said, they can manage the game fantastically well, as Jose Mourinho's Chelsea did in the back in the days, or Atletico's prime Simeone for Atletico when they reached the Champions League final in 2014. So yeah, congratulations to Arsenal, and obviously it's a great moment for them to obviously get to the first Champions League final since 2006. It's a great moment. You can clearly see the celebrations of Arteta, Trossard, and other players towards the end. You can see how much it felt to them at the end. So congratulations for Arsenal. Happy for them. I've got a couple of friends of mine who are Arsenal fans, so I'm happy for them. So congratulations for Arsenal for qualifying for the final, and all the best to them in the final as well. So and we'll see who they'll face in Budapest, whether that's Paris Saint-Germain or Bayern Munich. There was a couple of moments in the game where there have been a couple of decisions where there was a moment that Atletico Madrid should have had a penalty for the moments on Calafiori, on Griezmann. Also Calafiori, where he pushed Simeone. I think Atletico should have had, for sure they should have had a penalty in this game. I mean, there was a couple of moments, not Gabriel on Simeone, because I think yeah, Gabriel touched him, but I think Simeone stayed in his feet, so I don't think that's a penalty. But I think the one, Giuliano Simeone I'm talking about, Calafiori on Giuliano Simeone, Calafiori on Griezmann, those should have been, considered as penalties in my opinion. However, there was also another moment as well where Arsenal could have had a penalty where there was a foul on Trossard as well. So maybe that could have been also been a penalty for Arsenal. Pupil maybe should have been sent off as well for the foul on Gyökeres because he was on a yellow. So yeah, there was a couple of decisions where it should have gone for Atletico, and some decisions could have gone in Arsenal's way as well. So yeah, but you look at the two penalties that Atletico Madrid would deny. I really don't understand those referees. Like we saw it last week with Eze where he was stabbed on the feet by Hanko, and this was another one. Like Calafiori clearly, you could clearly see what he did to Simeone, and you can't give it as a penalty. Like I really don't get it. I really don't get it. Like why don't the VAR look at it? Why don't the referee look at it? Calafiori and Griezmann, is that not a penalty as well? Like I really don't understand those refereeing decisions sometimes. I mean, I thought the referees in Europe were generally better than the referees in the Premier League, for example, but clearly they're not. But anyway, but it's not just decisions, by the way. It's not just decisions to make it clear to everyone. And also, I mentioned the other decisions, Trossard and Pippo, but I felt like those two penalties should have been, for sure, clear penalties for Atletico Madrid, and they were denied somehow. I really didn't get it. But again, this doesn't take away Arsenal's achievement for qualifying for the final, and they deserve it. I felt like Atletico Madrid didn't do enough to put Arsenal under real pressure and to yeah, Atletico Madrid had some chances, but not like big chances. So as much as Atletico Madrid fans could have a complaint, which is rightly so, about the penalties denied, they have to look at themselves as well, because they should have they should have done better, in my opinion. I understand the complaints, but I felt like I felt like Simeone's substitutions, subbing off Julian Alvarez. Well, I understand why he subbed off Julian Alvarez, because he was not 100% fit before the game, and it was reported. But subbing off Griezmann, subbing off Lookman, why? I really didn't get it from Simeone. So I felt like I didn't feel like Atletico tested enough Arsenal's defense. As much as Arsenal's defense were good and they did well in their game management, I don't think Atletico Madrid did well enough to test them, in my opinion. Yeah, I do understand why. For example, I saw Koke. He was not happy with the refereeing decisions. I understand they should have had penalties, but at the same time, they should have done better as well, and I felt like they didn't do well enough, in my opinion. So, especially in the second half, when they had to get a goal, they had to chase for a goal, because obviously they were behind in the tie, and they didn't do well enough in that. So yeah. But yeah, it's frustrating for Atletico Madrid. I mean, they got another season without a trophy. I think the last trophy was in 2021 when they won the La Liga title. So that's 5 years without a trophy for Atletico Madrid. So that's obviously not great for them, of course, especially for a club like Atleti. And obviously, they lost the cup final against Real Sociedad. They are way off the pace in La Liga. They just lost the Champions League semi-final. So yeah, and Griezmann, unfortunately for him, he leaves Atletico Madrid without a trophy. Would have been a great fairy tale ending for him if he left Atletico Madrid with a Champions League and a Copa del Rey. But unfortunately for him, it didn't happen, and unfortunately for Atletico Madrid fans and for Simeone, that didn't happen as well. So yeah, Arsenal go through to the Champions League final, and Atletico Madrid are out. So yeah. Now let's move on to today's Champions League semi-final.